My dream was to be on the West End stage, and I managed to achieve that, which was awesome.
In your early 20s, you do stage work, and then you leave with an emptiness, and that begins the process and the journey of seeking more.
The first initial was I took my body from being really tight to flexible very fast, and of course there's a toll on that to do that.
I feel like we got a scratch card, and all we did was blow it. Barely even that. Welcome, Lee.
Hey.
Hi, welcome to the show.
Danny.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's wonderful to have you here.
Thank you.
For people that are listening, who are you? That's probably a good start.
Yeah.
And what's your name, as we would say in England? Where are you from? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I'm Lee Bannister.
Hi, Lee.
2 N's, I-S-T-E-R, Lee Bannister. Not related to 4 Minute Mile Roger Bannister, but I'm aware of who he is.
Okay.
The first guy to run 4 Minute Mile.
That's actually could be a good segue to, what do they call it when you're doing talks and then you
Like a rejoiner and come back to that.
you come back like a 4 minute mile. That sounds really interesting and sounds relevant to like human mindset.
Yeah, and what he did, which was quite interesting, was he broke the 4 Minute Mile down.
I thought we were going to come back to that.
Okay, we'll come back to that.
More on that soon.
Yeah, hold the space for that one. So I was born in Birmingham, and I moved to London and spent 20 years in London.
For people that are not from the UK, Birmingham is the centre of enjoyment, fun and positivity.
It's the second biggest city in England, 2 or 3 hours north of London, and it's good for a curry. It's definitely like a good curry place. So I was born there, moved to London for 20 years, and now I've ended up in Norway, which is very different from England.
Very different from Birmingham.
Yeah.
Can you get a good curry in Norway?
No. Okay. And I moved to London because I was performing in the West End, which is like Broadway if you're in the States. Mm-hmm. And I was working in musical theatre and performing, and my dream was to be on the West End stage, and I managed to achieve that, which was awesome. But then what led me into this sort of work that I'm doing now, transformational work, was I walked off the stage, 8,000 people screaming my name, everything was like awesome, and I just left the stage door, walked out, and just felt empty.
So you're in your early 20s, you do stage work on, or let's say performance, because we don't want to mix that with doing hypnosis and LLP on stage, and then you leave with an emptiness, and that begins the process and the journey of seeking more.
Yeah, I think the first initial was I took my body from being really tight to flexible very fast, and of course there's a toll on that to do that. So one of the instigators in that was like someone gave me a massage, like a sports massage, and I just felt so good after it. I went from pain to no pain, and I was like, wow, I want to be able to do that for people. So that was like one of the first journeys into this in terms of transforming lives, was like I want to be able to help people, because like my ego loved people clapping, but I still felt there's something underneath the ego mind, that the part of us that's present that isn't like trying to get something or trying to achieve something, just something underneath is what was born really in those moments to really make a difference.
So then let's see if we can get to the juicy stuff. So you said you said massage, Ayurveda, NLP, and hypnosis. Yeah. So I'm going to guess that these are 4 main or major traits or attributes or skills you learn over the period of time, all in some general pursuit of transformation and change. Yeah. So I imagine you have a story for each of something that was impactful or made a difference, or was the moment you were like, holy cow, this stuff's good?
Yeah, so the first one was the Ayurvedic stuff. I was listening to Magical Mind, Magical Body, Deepak Chopra's work, and I was fascinated. I was doing Ayurvedic exercises. There's a number of exercises you could do with your eyes where you move them into different segments. There's exercises where you look at the sun and then you close your eyes and then try and keep the color of that sun, like when you move away, there's things like that. There's a number of exercises that I was doing about entrainment. So when I think about entrainment, that Isaac Bentov was the first guy who sort of mentioned it, where he put pendulum clocks in a room, 4 or 5 different pendulum clocks, and he noticed that after a period of time They started to have a rhythmic relationship with each other. The same thing's true with, like, if you get a group of girls live in a house together, they start to get their menstruation period at the same time. So
I've, as an observation, I've also noticed when we're walking, when we go on hikes, and groups naturally form because some are ahead of others, you end up starting to walk at the same pace and at the same everything. And I never say it to people because I don't want to break the unspoken barrier of unconsciousness, but I'm suddenly aware of how long does it take for 4 people walking with each other to walk.
To suddenly find that moment. And the same things in seminars or in rooms as well. If you don't go in sort of foveal vision, you're going to more peripheral vision. To do that, you'd have
foveal vision, like focused vision.
Yeah, so we're foveal now, but if we were to make the room around us like blurred, now I can see what's going on here.
Yeah, okay.
So, and you can go into the peripheral and look in a room and see where the focuses go, like who's the strong characters in the room. That when this person moves, it ripples out. When that person moves, it ripples out. So if you want to hold the attention of the room, you just need to talk to that person and that person. Okay. And they will spread out, literally like dropping a stone into a lake that creates these ripples effect.
That stone, the ripples are biggest there, and then they might go out a little bit, but it has a radius that it impacts. And so when people explain their situation, who they are, and they go into the backstory, and immediately you can, well, we judge, but we're like, okay, this is a polished backstory. Yeah. I'm not the first person you've said this to, especially because I haven't asked. Yeah. You have just gone ahead and shared, which means there's something in you that I want you to know that I come from a troubled background, and that's why I am who I am. Yeah. And so therefore, in the same way someone says, oh, I am clumsy, is just as damaging as when I say, well, it's because my parents broke up, or this, or I lost a job when I was 15, and do you know what, ever since then, I have never been able to get a job. Yeah. So so then if that's all linked, here's what I would love, because we spent a long time talking. It's the first time we've sat down and recorded something. So I'm very cautious of too much time, especially we've got a beautiful sonata to go to. Yeah. So I'll tell you the dilemma that I have when I'm supporting and helping people, whether it's inside Sovereign Soul or outside, which is when someone is inhibited. So we often say that action is the antidote for anxiety, which is a great statement if you're able to implement action, because that's fine. I like to say you're either above the line or below, and above the line means I have enough, let's say, willpower, gusto, drive to pick myself up and do the thing. Yeah. When you're under the line, especially if you're in a depression state where it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, so to speak, that's just a statement, sort yourself out. Well, if I could sort myself out, I wouldn't be crying in bed. Yeah. So in those instances, especially if whereby you identify with that, it could have been because of my history, the thing that happened last week. I was fine until they broke up with me. I was fine until I lost my business, my job. But when you're struggling to do something, but you absolutely know that the life you want to lead or the thing you want is on the other side of doing that. But I just can't, I just don't have it in me. I'm blocked. What would be some of the things or ways that over the next 20 minutes you could share something that might just help 1 or 2 people move beyond past that, move from here to here, whatever metaphor you want? Is there anything that is that easy to do, that is a take-homeable skill that can make a difference?
I prefer getting rid of the whole thing is where I like to work. Sounds good. So I think of it like, when I work with a client, the first thing I do is a deep dive, and I'm 25 questions, 3 hours, I'm finding out what the real problem is. Because what we think is the problem is usually just a symptom of a greater presenting problem that's showing up. So I'm going after, the way I like to think of it is weeds in the garden. Where are the real weeds in the garden? What are the roots of the weeds? Yeah. Because if the transformation needs to stick, it needs to get rid of the weeds in the garden, or else they just grow back. So for me, it's about finding out through hypnosis or through NLP or through a process, finding out where the original problem occurred in the brain and recoding it there, so that you don't have to keep doing tapping every week, So it doesn't change from, oh, it used to be when I spoke to strangers, but now it's actually when I'm dealing with authority. Oh, it used to be this, but now it's like, it can be slippery, and problems can move around a lot if we don't go after the root of it.
Okay, so I would like to, I think we end it here at this point, because otherwise we'll just keep talking, and I feel like we haven't even, I feel like we got a scratch card and all we did was blow it.
Yeah, just open the door to it.
Barely even that, but I wanted to do this so that we had like an initial conversation.
Yeah.
I've got a whole host of questions, maybe we'll do more of them.
Yeah.
We'll see what all the members say. If people wanted to get in touch with you, what do they do?
They can simply go to my website, leebannister.org.
Two N's.
Two N's, L-E-E, bannister.org, and just reach out there and just say that they know Danny, and if they mention Danny,
You get higher price.
they have to pay double. No,
You've got to pay double.
I'll just chat to them for free for 15 minutes. I can just talk them through something, help them out.